Okay, kia ora and welcome to Love Literacy Inspired, a podcast where we explore the real stories behind Aotearoa's literacy journeys. I'm Heather Down, founder of Love Literacy and passionate advocate for structured evidence-based teaching. And in each episode, I sit down with inspiring New Zealanders, teachers, parents, advocates, and learners to hear how literacy has shaped their lives, their work, and their hearts. Whether you're in the classroom, at the kitchen table, or just keen to learn, I'm so glad you're here. So let's dive in. And I'm really excited today to have Dr. Janice Belgrave with me. She is an author, a literacy researcher, a former RTLit, and the co-founder of J&J Literacy. So, Janice, thank you so much for joining me today.
That's okay. It's a pleasure to be here. So, yes, literacy has been a part of my life since I was very, very young. I was always passionate about literacy, and that continues on today. And hopefully, I have instilled that same passion into my 5 children. I've got
Oh,
five,
wow.
yeah, 5 children who are all grown up now, and 4 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. So they keep me busy as well, and the age range from 11 to, how old's my youngest? She is 4 months now. So
Oh, wow.
yes, that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, Reading to babies is something I love doing. So that's that's really fun as well. So I live in Christchurch. Let me show you my view. This is my view from my office. So sometimes it's very, very hard to be motivated.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
if you can see that. If anyone has read my fledgling's first flight book, you will see that view is what the view in the illustrations. So that's where I sit and look at that, and I wouldn't say draw my inspiration, because actually I can sit and look at that and do absolutely nothing.
Yes, and I would turn for anybody that's just listening on Spotify. It was a beautiful bay with, and what were the hills? What was the headland in the
Um,
background?
Headland in the background is Godly Head.
Got ahead.
So
Okay.
Godly Head was an important point in the war. If you ever go for a walk up there, there's these huge concrete embattlements where they had the big guns and
Yeah.
underground tunnels, and there were lots of there's lots of old concrete buildings and stuff up there. It's quite fascinating.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. Yeah. Beautiful view. Beautiful view. Yeah.
So I'm yes, just continuing along my literacy journey, still writing children's books and having a lot of fun with that, and enjoying working, just working 4 days a week these days. So
Yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of fun.
awesome. Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, really, really like a satisfying point in life at the moment. So, if we wanted to go back to, let's go back to the beginning. And can you have a little chit chat with us about what literacy was like for you growing up?
Um, I grew up in a household where my mother always had her nose in a novel.
Oh,
Um,
me too. Yep.
I can just remember holidays where us kids, I've got 3 brothers, and I'm the youngest, would just be doing all the fun things. We had a batch in the Marlborough Sounds, and we're just doing fun things. And mum would just be sitting in the sun with her nose in the book. And dad would always have his nose in the newspaper. So I was always having that modeling of reading. Reading was
Mm.
important. And I was the crazy kid who, way back in the 70s, when the Scholastic book order forms would come, Scholastic Book Club or Arrow Book Club or whatever it was, would come home, I
Yes.
would I would tick like about 15 books. These are the ones I want, mum. And mum would be like, well, you can have 3. But, just reading all the time. Um, I was in standard 3 and 4. So that's, for those younger people who don't know,
Yes.
that's equivalent of our year 5 and 6. In standard 3 and 4, I was in a class that was an experiment basically by the ministry. So in that class, there was children. When I look back now, I think we were handpicked. It wasn't random. We're put in that class, and we had a very different way of learning. So we had a cooking corner, a library corner, an art corner. We only had a few desks. We had cushions on the floor. We had a list of work that we had to get through. So we had to do our reading and writing with the teacher, and we had to come and do maths at some point. The rest of the time we could do whatever we wanted. So we could sit and read, or we could do some cooking, or we could do some art. It was for 2 years. And when I look back, probably the two happiest years of my schooling, the teacher we had, Mr. Knowles, was a huge inspiration. And that's when I really first started doing a lot of writing.
Okay.
And was passionate about writing, just writing. I would take a little notebook on holiday with me and just write. Yeah,
Yep.
that was my fun thing. Really, really was. Yeah. Excuse me, I need a wee sip.
Yep. No, all good. Yeah. Oh wow. So yeah, that sounds quite different because I definitely don't remember having anything like that in the classrooms that we were in. So that must have been, yeah, quite experimental.
From what I've heard, there was one class in Christchurch and one in Palmerston North. I lived in Palmerston North
Mm.
at that point. So it was an experiment. I don't know, I've never seen the data, but I do know that of those children that were in the class with me, an awful lot of us had gone on and not only got degrees, but postgraduate degrees. I know quite a few have got master's degrees, and obviously I've got the PhD, and there's others as well.
Yeah.
So it's when I say I think we were handpicked. I don't think they chose random children who maybe had behavior issues or learning difficulties. They chose children who I think they knew would get on and do their work. So I
Right.
don't know
Yeah.
how well the experiment worked, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, and was definitely an inspiration. And Mr. Knowles was a huge influence. You know, that one teacher who influences your life. That
Yes.
that was him.
Yes. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that was one of my questions. Was there a book, a teacher, or a memory that sparked your love of language? And obviously Mr. Knowles
Mhm.
was one of those people. Um,
Definitely.
yeah.
Um, and interestingly enough, I still have a folder of writing from back then, from
Wow.
that class. If
Yep.
you, I can show you. It's a beaten up Manila folder that I did my best version of drawing on, because art is not my forte.
I'm with you. Art is not my forte. I always say I'm creative in other ways. I love it.
Exactly, art is not my forte. So that's my written expression folder,
Oh no.
um, from Standard 3, so
Yep.
Year 5 equivalent. And when I looked through it, a lot of it was poetry. And I
Yep.
think that probably led to why, well, at least the first 3 books of mine that have been in print are rhyming, although the poetry that I wrote wasn't necessarily rhyming. It was just that it was poetic. So
Mm.
maybe that's where that comes from. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
read what you want.
Yep. Yep. We'd love it. Go for it. That I think that'd be
Okay.
wonderful.
And then I'm going to show you the spelling, because I was the worst speller in my class. So don't let it put people off, and don't think because children can't spell that they can't write. I know
Mm.
spelling is important, but yes. So this is called The Hostile Animals,
Oh, good language.
and it is a short poem. Barking, meowing, tangled with spitting and biting, the clawing of the cat, the whining of the dog. That is my
Wow.
first poem. And as you can see, art is not my
Oh.
forte. There's my cat and the dog.
Oh yeah, that's actually very similar to how I draw. Yeah, my mother was an exceptional artist, and I think, yeah, I wonder how she produced me, who just I'm still drawing stick figures. So
My mum's an artist too. Isn't that funny?
oh, that is so funny. That is so funny. So so I can guess that you developed that love of wanting to express yourself through your writing. And we'll get to your books, but I wanted to touch a little bit on your PhD, because you obviously took that early love of language on quite an academic pathway. And I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit about the PhD that you've done.
Okay. I was teaching in a year 1, 2 class, and I had a wee boy who was receiving reading recovery. and then obviously still having class reading with me. And I was reading, he was reading with me, and he came to the word something, and he started sounding it out. And he just came to a halt, and I said, the word is something. It was a green level, the old leveled readers, it was a green one. And he said, oh, I don't know what something means. And then I thought about it, and in an instant, I realized that wasn't the way he spoke. He said something.
Right.
Something. So I said, oh, it's something. He goes, oh, something. I know what that means. So it was like a light bulb moment that there was a disconnect between the way words are written and the way that some children speak, which meant that their comprehension was compromised. So I started to become quite interested in that, and started to look into some research, and there wasn't a lot. There was some coming out of the United States around African American English, and Professor Rebecca Treeman around spelling. And so I just started the ball rolling. And so at the end of that year, which was 2011, at the end of that year, I decided I wanted to pursue further study. I already had a master's. I wanted to really do what we would call now a deep dive into what was going on here. Why is this happening? And is it happening a lot, or is it just the odd child here and there? So that's when in 2012, I started the PhD. And originally my idea was that I wanted to remediate these children. I wanted to fix the way they spoke so that they would understand what they were reading. But I quickly discovered that remediating the way they speak isn't what we do, because that's their dialect is part of their culture. And there's a lot of research around that.
Okay, so this is one of my questions was, what does it mean about dialect awareness? And now I'm beginning to understand. And just while I've got it on my thought, what you said about there was some studies coming out of America. Now I do remember reading something, and I can't remember where I read it, but it was to do with the way that the Americans would say ax instead of ask. And I know that we do also have this within the New Zealand language. So I'm really interested to hear what you can tell me about that.
So once I started the PhD, I started that deeper, you always have to start with a massive literacy review. So you have to read and read and read and read and read and summarize it, basically. And that started to come about it that there are certain ways that what they call African American English, it's not just the way they speak, but it's the construction of their sentences as well, is a different construction. And that ARCS one came up straight away, and I thought, well, kids here do that too. In fact, some adults here do that as well. So I started looking, and I started to just roughly make like a comparison chart. The features of the African American dialect, features that I'm hearing in schools, features that are maybe mentioned with other languages, maybe dialects in Australia, Irish ones. I started making this comparison chart, and it appeared that what we were seeing, or what I was hearing in New Zealand, was very much like the African American English. And so then I started to think, well, why? Why are our children, why are our adults speaking the way some African American people speak? And then I started thinking, is it TV? Is it gaming? Is it those sorts of things? Or is it just the way the culture of where they're living, or is it low decile students? And it wasn't just that. And I never really got to the bottom of that. That's something someone else can run with. If someone wants to do a PhD, go for it. Have a closer look at why the New Zealand dialects that I heard are similar, very similar to the African American, because there was a researcher who worked with Gail Gillan, actually. Isn't this terrible? Her name escapes me. McGlashan, I feel like.
Always the way, always the way. Yeah, we can always
I
look it up
feel like it was
afterwards.
McGlashan, and it was way back in the 50s, so it was before Gail Gillan's day, and she went round and recorded some dialects, and it was happening back then. So there was no TV, there was no
Mm.
rap music, there was no gaming. So, we still
Mm.
don't know why.
Ah,
But yeah,
yeah, that's
quite
fascinating.
fascinating. Mm.
Yeah, and also I've got down here phonemic literacy interventions.
Um, what the aim, so my PhD was an experimental design intervention study, which my supervisor said, don't do it. It's the
Oh,
hardest method to use to try and get a PhD.
okay.
It's going to be very hard. And I thought, well, don't tell me not to do something.
Now I'm automatically going to go and do it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So what that means is that I had 4 groups and a control group. And ethically, when you have a control group, they can't miss out. So after the study had finished, I then worked with the children who were in the control group. So they actually got some help as well. But the control group you need,
Mm,
otherwise you've got no adequate comparison
mm,
whether your interventions are working. So I had 3 groups. One that I just worked on phonemic awareness. Initially without just phonemic, no letters or anything, and
yep.
then we moved into letters later.
Hmm.
Um, one group that I used, I just entirely used onset rhyme, because
Oh,
at that
okay.
point in 2012, onset rhyme was very popular. Well, teachers would call it word families.
Mm, mm,
Word family. So I used onset rhyme and talked to the children about the difference between the way the words are written and the way
mm,
they say them. So the children that were chosen for my study, I had done the old oral language screener
mm,
and chosen children who had the dialect that I was looking for. So they said something, nothing,
mm,
some think, those sorts of things. Arcs.
mm, mm, mm.
So those children, I used onset rhyme and spoke to them about the way words are written, and it doesn't matter if they say them differently, but
This is
this
what
is
our
how you
spelling
will
is.
this
Yeah.
is how you spell it, and this is
Mm,
how it looks in a book. And then
mm,
the third group was a combination. They had the phonemic awareness, the onset rhyme, and the talking about how the words looked different to the way they spoke them.
mm,
And interestingly, the onset rhyme group proved the biggest improvement and longest lasting. The
mm.
phonemic awareness initially improved, but then it leveled out and
Yes,
then
and
dropped
because we
off.
now know that we can't do phonemic just in the dark, we
Yes.
need to
Yep.
attach the letters. We need
Yep.
to complete the triangle with that. Yep.
So they made rapid improvement, then flattened out. And when I came back 6 months later for follow up, they were back, or not back where they started from, but
Oh.
they had dropped right off. Whereas the other 2 groups had made slower, steadier progress, but maintained it. And even 6 months later, they were continuing to improve. So
Mm,
that was quite interesting
mm,
and not expected. People professors sort of said to me, oh, you're not going to get great results with that, blah, blah, blah. Now, I mean, I didn't just do this with 2 children. I had
mm,
120 children and I did all the teaching. So
mm,
there was no, maybe it was the effect of someone else was teaching it differently. It
mm,
was very rigid experimental design. So I did every child was taught by me. So
mm,
yeah, it
mm,
was quite a big thing. So it's quite interesting because that onset rhyme concept is not considered to be that useful. Um, but I'm in my job that I'm in at the moment. I'm finding that every now and then a child needs that.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah. I
it's
still do that.
concept rhyme
Yep.
or sometimes the body coda where you do
Yep.
the bulk of the word and then the last sound, because if they're having that blending trouble,
Yes.
um, and they just can't get it. And I'm always seeing people say, "Oh, we've been doing this and this," and they just can't blend it back together. They know
Yeah.
all the sounds, but they can't blend it. So try something a little bit different.
Yeah,
And that,
yeah, and that's where I totally agree with you. That's where I'll jump in with some onset and rhyme as well, because yeah, um, it, I mean we want them to be able to achieve, and we want to go forward. And if something's not working, then we need to switch it up again and do something a little bit different. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I totally
So
agree with you.
I have to tell you, there's because people won't know, and it's quite funny. There's one word that Kiwis or with dialects use that is not found in any other dialect throughout the whole world. And I was presenting at the BERA, British Educational Research Association conference in London. And I put a slide of this up, and they were just like, no, that can't be. And the word is noosed. And
Oh, I
I don't know
as
if you've
in
ever heard people say it. So instead of saying I used to go to that school, they say I used to go to that
I
school.
used to go to that school.
I
Yes.
knew, yeah, and or I used it all up. I newsed it all up, and so they're putting that kind of in at the start. And I've got some absolutely gorgeous spelling examples. Newst,
Yeah.
Nyoist, sounded the word out perfectly.
Yeah.
Newst, beautiful spelling, but unfortunately the dialect got in the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, yeah,
And people
fascinating.
at that conference were like, that can't be. People don't say that. And I'm like, people do say that.
People do say it. But I mean, that's how accents develop
Yes.
and and how language evolves throughout time. So yeah, and then we all come up with our own little sayings and our own little words and yeah. Oh,
Mm.
that is really interesting. I had never thought about Newst. I mean, I t- I tend to listen out for things like that because we do so much work with sounds and symbols and correct sounds with correct symbols. You do try and kind of stamp out little things like that straight away because, oh, you're going to have trouble spelling if.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've alluded to a little bit of this already. So you've worn quite a few hats.
Yes.
Lecturer, researcher,
Yes.
research, resource teacher of literacy. Um, and can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now, and then we'll talk a little bit about going into writing your picture books. So, what capacity are you working in at the moment?
So at the moment, I've in term two, I started a new job at
Yep.
just one school as the tier two, three um, literacy specialist. So I spend 4 days a week just teaching small groups, the tier two children, and one or two tier three children. So it's quite a change from the RTLit role where I had 23 schools,
Mhm.
just to go into one school. And I know the children very well now. I know the teachers very well now. It was one of my schools that I had as an
Mhm.
RTLit. And it's quite cute because within the first week or two, um, one of the children in the new entrant class called me Dr. J. And so now I'm just Dr. J to everybody. So when I go into the classroom to take the children, we do it as a withdrawal. Everyone says, Dr. J, can you come? Can you take me? Can you take me? Like it's a really fun kind of environment. And so I'm now Dr. J.
Oh,
That
that's
works.
awesome.
That
Yeah,
works. I'm
that
happy with
works. Hey, and look, and if they're happy to come out and do some literacy with Dr. J, then you just got to roll with it. You've got to go
that.
for it.
If
Yeah.
that's what keeps them happy, no, they love it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, that's really good. Oh, I'm sure you make it fun anyway. So so let's go a little bit further. So you had a love of language and writing that was developed and books and reading that was developed from an early age. And now you're writing picture books.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about how did you just wake up one day and go, oh, I think I might write a picture book? Because sometimes, I feel like that's how I decide to do things. I just wake up and go, I'm going to do this. Tell me a bit about how you started that journey.
Um, it definitely wasn't like that. Um, so, so the book Fledgling's First Flight was a true event. I really did save a fledgling red-billed gull that was stuck in the
Yep.
flax bush down the front of the property. And it all basically what happened in the story is what happened. The only thing I don't have in there is that I actually have a phobia of birds. So
Oh, yeah, that
there's
probably wouldn't have come across very well in
no,
the original
no.
story.
Although I do tell children that when I go to schools, because I go to schools and do author talks, and I do mention that, and the children find it incredible, that I had to actually get over that phobia to save that baby bird. So it
Yep.
was quite a special event, but I didn't straight away think, oh, I should turn that into a book.
Mm.
It was actually my partner, his daughter has written a children's book, and he said, oh, we should get her to write that event into a book. And I thought, well, I can write.
Yeah,
I can write it.
absolutely.
I can write it myself. I don't
Mm.
need someone else to write my story for me. So that's when the seed was sown, and different from a lot of people. And it happened in my PhD, and it happens with my stories, is that they just go around in my mind.
Hmm.
So normally when I'm walking, so those hills that I showed you, I go
Mm.
for big long walks on the hills, and it all starts forming in my mind. I come home, get the laptop, and just go, and it all comes out. I did that with my PhD, and it did not make my supervisor happy because he liked to see increments every week, and that's not how I work. So that's what happened with Fledgling. I'd been on a walk and I just came home and it all just came out. So it probably took me about 20 minutes to write.
Wow. They
um,
do say that though, like with songs and poetry and things like that um that you're truly passionate about them and they come from the heart. I mean, but that's it. Oh, I wrote that song in 30 seconds, or I wrote that song in 2 minutes.
yeah.
And yeah.
So that's the way I work. Um, and so that was the first one I wrote.
Mm.
And then I think my daughter said, you should write a book about whiskey.
Okay, and who's Whiskey?
Whiskey is my dog,
He's
our
your dog,
dog.
right? Yes.
He is a Huntaway bearded collie cross who we inherited when we were asked to look after him for a weekend and the owner never came back. So that was in
Oh.
2012. And so we've had him a very long time. He's nearly 17. So my daughter said, you should write a story about whiskey and how he keeps running away all the time. And he did.
Hmm.
If anyone's read Wise Old Whiskey, he just used to, all those events happened.
Mm.
um, there is hundreds more, but those are just the ones I chose. So it's
Yeah.
kind of based on a true story as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And Mr. Darcy, is Mr. Darcy your cat?
well, yes, Mr. Darcy is my cat.
Yep.
One of them, the last one left. Um, he obviously didn't dream about Matariki. That's made up. But
Mm.
the house in the front, he used to go up on the roof of that
Mm.
house. It used to give me heart failure because it's so high.
Yeah.
Um, and so that little bit is true, and the
Hmm.
rest I just took complete,
Yep.
creative license to
Which you can
try and
do.
find a way. I felt that there was a lot of books about Matariki, but that
Mm.
children weren't really learning that those same stars are found in other parts of the world, are seen or observed in other parts of the world. It would be fun for children to learn a little bit about that as well. So that's where that
Mm.
inspiration came from. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think too, like now that Matariki is a public holiday, like we're building more awareness around what the cultural meaning of
Mm.
Matariki is. So yeah, so I think that's really cool. Um, yeah, the illustrations are absolutely gorgeous in them as well. So is that another New Zealander who's doing
So
the
yes, so Ella Gordon, I needed an illustrator when I'd written the story, A Fledgling First Flight. I thought, well, I really want to publish this. I want to share this with children. And
Mm,
if anyone is listening or watching who has tried to publish a book, it is nearly impossible to get
mm,
a traditional publishing deal in New Zealand. So to
okay.
for send your story off and they go, yes, we love it. We're going to publish it. It won't cost you anything and you'll get lots of money from it. Doesn't happen like that.
Mm.
It's very, very difficult. For example, Scholastic only open up for submissions one day a year on Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Wow.
You can send your
Okay.
story in along with probably 10,000 others, and it's
Oh.
very, very difficult. I've had one story I sent to a publishing company in Auckland who said yes, but we want you to change the characters. They wanted me to, it was a story, a true story from my childhood. So the characters were me and my family. They wanted to change it to be immigrants because that's what's selling at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
So my answer was, I would love to have my book published and it doesn't cost me anything, but I'm not prepared to compromise my story because it's my story.
Yeah. And I think those are the sorts of things that you do need to hold on to.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
if we really want to be true to ourselves in whatever we do, those are the types of things that we can't really compromise on. So
No, no.
yeah.
So yeah, so I needed an illustrator.
Mm.
So I had no idea how to find one. So I
Mm.
literally Googled the old illustrator near me to see if there,
Yes. How many times have we done stuff
you
like
know,
that?
yeah, supermarket near me, when you're in a different town and you want to
Yeah.
know where the supermarket is. I just Googled illustrator near me and it came up with this website, and I can't remember the name of it now, where it had a list of or lists of illustrators that lived within a 10-kilometer radius or whatever of where I live. So her name appeared and I
Mm.
clicked on her email. I emailed her and said, look, I've written this story and I'm looking for an illustrator.
Mm.
And she got back to me quite quickly and said, oh, I'd love to, send me the story.
Mm.
And we met and it went
Mm.
from there. So she has illustrated the first three, those first three that have been self-published.
Yes.
Um, illustrators do not come cheap. So
Yeah.
probably around $12,000 per book.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's not going to keep me afloat in my retirement, that's for sure. But
Mm. Mm.
that's not
Mm.
why I do it. I mean, I don't do it to, if I was trying to do it to make money, I would have
Yes.
failed miserably.
Yes.
I do it to share my stories with children and to, to enhance their lives and, help with their literacy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel the same thing as well, that with the products that I put out there, I try and keep the price as reasonable as possible. Again, they're not things that I'm going to retire on, but it makes me feel happy to think that teachers have got more tools um, in their kitties to be able to um, make learning enjoyable for students.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And can you tell me a little bit about the language within the books as well? Because you've used some really rich language, and we know that oral language is one of the foundations for both reading and writing. So can you tell me a little bit about the language within the books?
So when I when I was writing them, the language just came naturally to me.
Mm,
And then when I started thinking about it a bit more, and in subsequent books and stories that I've written that aren't published yet, the aim was to have a number of what they call tier two words. So
mhm,
these are words that children don't hear very often or may not have ever heard,
mm,
but that are out there in the English language being used that once they do know this word and understand what it means, it's going to enhance not only their vocabulary, but their comprehension and hopefully their writing as well. So after I had written Fledgling, I thought, well, let's make this not only just a story for fun, let's make this a teaching tool. So that's why I decided to add the glossary in the back,
Yeah.
so that if it was being read by a teacher, they could use that as their, and I know lots of structured literacy programs are using picture books
Yes.
to enhance vocabulary. So it's right there for them. The teacher
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to think about it. It's right there. And then I decided that given that Te Reo was also a language of New Zealand, I
Mm-hmm.
would give people the option of including that. So within the stories, you'll see every now and then some Te Reo words in brackets, and there's an explanation at the front of the book, of all of the books, that you can choose to either read the English word or you can read the Māori Te Reo word.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, when you do use the Māori word, the rhyme sometimes gets a little bit out of sync, but that's okay.
Yep.
And yeah, so it gives parents, caregivers, or teachers a choice if
Yes.
they want to include that or they don't want to include that.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
they can use the word as they're reading it, or they might just stop and say, "Oh, did you know that the Māori word for seagull is aki aki?" You can just, it's
Yeah.
a choice. It gives a
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's really wonderful because we have a bilingual country, and what I also really like about the tier two, like including the tier two words within the story, um, is we know that we're learning the words in isolation. Well, it's not going to embed in the long-term memory because we need to make that connection with the meaning. In order to cement that word within the long-term memory, we need to make the connection with the meaning as well.
Yes.
And so if we've got a beautiful story and we've got the word in context, we can put meaning to it, then yeah, we can hopefully um, allow this word to be in that vocabulary. And as you say, if they start using it within the oral vocabulary, we might start seeing it in um, the written work as well. I always think about this, I don't know what I was reading. I read too much stuff and I listen to too much stuff, but it was one of those ones where they said, "Oh, tell us the word that you read, but you've been reading it wrong your whole life because
Oh
you
yes, yeah.
never heard." And someone has said the word spatula. And so they were reading, it's so funny when you hear it. And so they'd read it as spatula and had no idea, but it was spatula. Spatula.
Oh,
But because they'd never heard the word or been introduced to the word, when they found it in a text, they just read it as spatula. And I thought, wow, that's why we need to get this rich language out there. This is why we need so much care and attention on the development of oral language, because then you come across your spatula, your spatula, and you actually understand what it is. You read what it
I,
is.
I have a slightly funny story. So, as I said way back, my mother always had her nose in a book, and she's 95 now, and she still has her nose in a book. We went recently to, no, it wasn't this trip. We've just recently been to Australia. In 2023, we went to go to the Aussie Tennis Open. And when we got to the airport in Melbourne, she said, "How are we going to get to the hotel?" And I said, "Well, we could catch a taxi or the bus." And she said, "Well, could we get one of those Ubers?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
she doesn't have a cell phone. She's
Hmm.
never caught an Uber. She doesn't know what it is. She hasn't heard anyone say Uber, but
Mm.
she's read it in some of her novels. So to her, and I said, an Uber, no, we can't because I don't have the app on my phone, or that just,
Yeah.
over your head. But that's just a classic example of what you were saying. And
Yes.
and because she's only ever read the word, Yeah. So
Yeah,
bless her heart, at 93,
at
it was
93.
a Uber. Mm.
Yuba, yeah, but I those sorts of things I always think of from now on. Whenever I'm with your mum, if I was ever with your mum, I'd be calling it a Yuba, not an Uber.
It was cute. It was
Yeah,
cute.
yeah, it's really cute. Oh, yeah, that's I love those little stories. So and we talked a little bit about the language, the vocabulary, the decoding. So have you ever had a special moment with a student or teacher that's made a real difference with you?
Oh, a special moment. I don't know. There's probably hundreds of special moments. Um,
I'll put you on the spot a little bit.
um, well, actually, it's not to do with teaching, but yesterday when I was leaving school,
Mm.
a year four girl came running up to me and gave me a big hug and said, "We've got your book in class this week. We just learned all about the fledgling."
There
And
we
I
go.
And I didn't know that the year four class was using my fledgling book. And she was so excited. She said, "And then when we found out that it was you and that you teach here," and she was so excited. So I guess that was kind of, it gives you a little bit of a
Yeah.
goosebump moment. So it wasn't involving my own teaching, but it definitely, that book's made an imprint on her.
Yeah.
And I guess the fact that I teach in the school at
Mm.
the same time is a cool thing. Maybe in my next reprints, I'll have to change it to written by Dr. J.
Written by Dr. J. Yeah,
I can be
yeah.
like Dr. Seuss, but Dr.
Yes,
J.
but
Yeah.
Dr. J, I love it. I love it. So what's coming up next in the author journey for you?
Well, great that you asked. In the next few days, pre-sales will start appearing
Yep.
for my latest book to be published. Again, it's, well, I don't even know if we can call it self-published. It was a commission. So I do books by commission. I've done two now. This one was commissioned by a cat rescue group in Vancouver, who I've been a member of.
Oh, wow.
Long story. They came up on my Facebook when I was living in Japan. I started following them because it's called Tiny Kittens, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, how cute. Anyway, they've got a huge 10th anniversary gala coming up at Labour weekend, actually, our Labour weekend, and they asked me to write a book about one of their rescue cats. So the lady who's now has the cat messaged me with lots of information about different things. And I once again, it only took me, even though I've never met this cat, I have met the lady, I've never met the cat. I wrote it very, very quickly. And so the printing, I'm not, so I've written it, and there's a Canadian lady who's doing the illustrations. I'll show you. Let's see here. I had a different one I wanted to print off, but my printer stopped working. So
Yeah.
um, that's one of,
Oh,
yeah,
yep.
so that's one of the pages.
Yep.
Um, and so she's nearly finished the illustrations. It will be printed, and then we're selling it at the gala and online as well. And most of the process will go to the rescue agency. I
Amazing.
get $1 a book. The artist gets $1 a book.
Amazing.
Um, so that's an exciting way to do things because there's
Yeah.
no upfront cost for me,
Yes.
except for flying to Vancouver for the book launch and the gala. But
Oh, but that's kind of exciting anyway. So
yes,
and chalk that one up to a nice holiday. Oh,
yes,
that is
yes.
really exciting. Oh,
Yeah.
so we definitely have to look out for that. And I also wanted to touch a little bit on J&J Literacy,
Mhm.
because that's also one aspect of what you're involved in. And can you tell us a little bit about J&J Literacy?
So way back in 2019, when I was in RTLit and Julie Green was also in RTLit in our same office, we saw Dr. Pam Kastner on a a video link, and we
Mm.
thought, wow, I mean, this, we're talking 2019. It was before everything blew up here,
Yeah.
and people hadn't hardly even heard of structured literacy and so on. So we came up with the idea that maybe we should bring her over to New Zealand, and so it went from there, and it was all organised. And you may remember there was 6 venues. It was all going to be go. It was going to be fabulous, and then COVID. So literally, she had her bags packed. She was on the plane, and the US president at the time said, "No, don't travel to people.
Mm.
Do not
Mm.
travel." So she
Mm.
didn't travel. So that was that. And then we thought, well, we started with the Hegarty books. Julie actually emailed Hegarty head office and said, "Oh, we've seen your books on Facebook or wherever we'd seen them." And they actually sent a huge box of about 12 books for free for us
Mm.
to look at and to trial. We tried it with some children, and we did a few things around that. And we thought, wow, this could be quite helpful
Mm-hmm.
for people. So that was our start. And
Mm.
and then obviously that we still have those, but we have a lot of other books as well. Just books that we come across and think would be useful for New Zealand educators, whether it be a homeschooling family or in a school. And
Mm.
that's where that all kind of started. It became our side hustle.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're still ticking over, which
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we kind of thought would die off, but it has its ups and downs, but it hasn't died off. And we're probably still sending out about 1 or 2 books a day. So
Oh, that's great. Because
yeah,
you have the UFLI
yes,
manual. You've got
yep.
Nathaniel Swain's book.
No, we don't have his
Oh,
book. No, I
you don't
think
have
someone
his
else has
book.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you will have, we were just talking about this briefly offline. You'll have the new Joan Sedita
Yes. Yes,
book.
the essentials of adolescent literacy. So
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
to be released in October. So it's only a couple of months away now.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that could be a real game changer
Yeah.
for our older students who, you
Mm.
know, there's a lot of talk. We've got to do something for our older students who obviously have been through school already and missed the structured literacy that's coming through now. So, I mean, I haven't read the book, but I've read the information around it.
Mm.
And so I think it's going to be quite a good one. I mean, we've got her writing rope, and that's been a good one as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a huge fan of Joan Sedita. I've sat and plowed my way through so many of her webinars, and
Yes.
yeah, I mean she's done full webinars about each strand of the writing rope. Amazing. And yeah, there is a lot around the adolescent literacy at the moment. And it's topical because we have to be so careful to uphold the mana of our adolescents, and just be really careful about the language that we're using within the books and the pictures that we're presenting to them. And yeah, so the majority of the students that I'm teaching at the moment are coming to me sort of more that year 6, 7, and 8, whereas I used to get a lot of year 2s and 3s. Now I'm starting to get a lot of the older, well, I shouldn't say older because they're still really young, um, students, where I just have to be really careful about the resources that I'm using. So yeah, it will be a
I
really
think
good
there's
one.
still a big lack of resources for
Mm.
that age group, and it is hard. Um,
Mm.
and they're often our children who have already created a mindset that are not they're not going to ever be good
Mm.
at. Or and they'll tell you, "Oh, I'm
Mm.
not good at reading and writing."
Mm.
Straight up tell you,
Mm.
and it's really sad. So yeah, you're right. We
Yeah.
have to have things that are appropriate, age appropriate,
Mm.
age appropriate, and stage appropriate, all bound into
Mm.
one. It's a very tricky,
It
a tricky,
is. It's
tricky.
it, it's a delicate balance. Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually teaching a year 9, and he's very switched off. And then yeah, when we were first working together, every time I asked him a question about a text, the answer was I don't know. Um,
Mm.
just because that was the easiest thing to pop up. But yeah, we're making headway now, and he will actually look at the text and read it and answer some questions from it. So yeah,
Nice.
that's been really good. So just before we finish up this awesome conversation, um, you've done obviously long career in literacy, structured literacy, worked within the intervention role. Um, if you could offer the two parts to the question, if you could offer some advice to some parents and you could then also offer some advice to teachers, what kind of advice would you offer to both of those?
So parents who are at homeschooling or parents who are looking for tutoring or a bit of both?
Just anything like with what you know now about literacy, understanding about literacy interventions, any advice for parents, and then also advice, yeah, just with all the changes that we've had over the past year, advice to teachers around literacy.
So for parents, and I talk about this with parents of the children that I'm working with within
Mm,
my school, it's just the idea of let's not let's not put any pressure. I don't think that children are going to respond if there's pressure. You have to go and do this. You have to do this now. You have to do your reading book, or I'm taking you to this tutoring and you have to do it. Like, just try to foster that love and maybe even try and model. And that's hard because a lot of the parents of the children that need extra help are not always great readers and writers themselves. So I don't actually give homework. We have just some games and things that they can do, I Spy, things like that, using sounds. Don't make it a pressure situation, and don't make it stressful for the children, because once it's stressful for the children,
they
they're just
shut
going to
down.
switch off. They're going to shut down. We
Mm,
know that.
mm,
I I couldn't offer any advice about who people should go to for tutoring if they want to have tutoring. I think that that's out of my real
mm,
specialty. I used to tutor when I was doing my PhD. Really, that was just for money, because when you're a
mm,
student, you don't have much money.
mm,
Um, but I wouldn't do it now. I think
mm,
you're doing an amazing job doing that. I don't feel like I could do it at home. I just, yeah. So I wouldn't have offered advice about that. I would just offer advice about making it take the pressure off. Yeah, off.
And any advice for teachers as they're learning about structured literacy and all of the different parts of
Mm.
the science of reading and learning and writing? Any advice
And
for
there's a lot going on at the moment,
Mm,
especially with the refreshed curriculum, and they've got their structured maths they're supposed to be doing, and they've got their structured literacy they're supposed to be doing. I think teachers need to be allowed to take a breath, take a step back, and make small changes, not go, right, we're going to go straight into here, and now we're going to throw all that out, we'll take all that away, and we're just doing this, and this. And oh my goodness, I don't fully understand it, but I have to do it, so I'm doing it. I think we need to take it slowly. Teachers need to take it slowly. Understand one part of a structured literacy lesson, whether that's the picture book with some vocab, or whether it's some whole class phonics, or whether it's small group phonics, or however they're doing it. Just don't panic. Just take it slowly. You can't, a teacher who's been 20 years in teaching has taken 20 years to get to that point where they are. They can't flip a switch and suddenly in 1 week be doing everything completely differently. So,
mm,
and I think that's where the angst is coming from.
mm,
Teachers and some schools feel that it has to be like they've flicked a switch, but it isn't. We just have to. And don't feel bad
mm,
if you haven't made all the changes instantly.
mm,
Because
mm,
I know even in my own school, some teachers are doing training at the moment, and I can just see they're like, ugh. And I'm glad that I'm there, because as well as doing the tier 2 and 3 teaching, I can just be a bit of a mentor. So it's quite good. Yeah. I really feel for classroom teachers, and
Mm.
honestly, I could not do what they're doing right now.
Oh, me neither.
I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
I'm past it. I wouldn't cope. Yeah.
Mm.
With the
Yeah.
literacy, maybe, not with the maths,
Yeah,
not with
yeah, yeah.
the
I
other
always
things.
feel like, yeah, my little niche where I've got the two students in front of me. I feel very lucky to be doing that because I'm not sure I could manage a class of 30. Yeah, totally agree.
Mm.
And in terms of platforms, where are people best to find you on social platforms?
So as far as my picture books go, I've got a Facebook page, just Dr. Janice Picture Books. I've got an Instagram, which I think is the same name.
Yep.
Sorry. Or for picture books on the J&J website where
Yep.
you can buy them, but on there is a whole lot of information. There's actually a quite detailed teaching ideas, and
Awesome.
yeah, so you can go on there and find the phonological teaching ideas, the
Yep.
morphological teaching ideas, the writing, and particularly with Mr. Darcy, the cat, and the Matariki Glow, are a whole lot of links to outside websites for information about the other countries. Um,
Oh, amazing.
and the new book, which
Yes.
is called Elsie, Ellen, and Calvin,
Yes.
a happy feline tale. No, a happy feline tale. Sorry, how do I not remember my own? Because we changed it. Elsie, Ellen, and Calvin, a happy feline tale, and tale is TAIL, not
TAI. I was going to say,
yeah,
is it the TAIL? So we've got
yeah.
the play on the language
Yeah,
there.
there's a play on the language
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
awesome. Oh, wonderful.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll make sure that we pop
And of
everything.
course, J&J's got Facebook as well. Yeah.
Yes, J&J's got Facebook. Yeah, so we'll make sure we get all the links. We'll pop those in there so that if people want to have a good dig around and look for the books, they can. And was there anything else that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share?
Oh, I think I think a lot of people feel this, and I said this to somebody the other day when I was booked in to go to a school
Mhm.
and do an author talk. And they say an author talk, and I feel like I have imposter syndrome when people say you're an author. And I never, like, it's not a word that I would have used in a sentence with me.
Yeah,
I just think I'm just sharing my stories.
yeah,
As I said, I've probably got 12 more
yep.
on my laptop waiting to go. I wish I knew a cheap way of publishing them.
Mm.
Um, but I think somebody said to me, well, a lot of us feel like we have imposter syndrome at the moment, that we've got a little bit of knowledge, or we're doing this or we're doing that, but we don't really feel that we know enough, or we're experts, or if that's really embedded in our lives, that we feel that we can do this. But I just when this lady said, come and do an author talk, and I'm like, I'm not an author. You just have to accept. You just have to kind of accept that that you're doing your best, and you're doing what
Mm.
you can. And if you're writing stories and you're getting some stories published, you are actually an author.
You are
And
an author. Yeah,
and every day when children are writing, they're authors too. And I'll never
yeah,
forget. I think it was the old Jill Eggleton stuff from maybe the 90s or something, and it had this little thing, I am an author, and it
yeah.
was like this little checklist of things for children with their
Oh,
writing. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it was Jill Eggleton, like a kit of stuff that we got, and it had this little page you stuck in the back, checklist of what they could do, and at the
yeah,
top it said, I am an author. And I thought, wow, it would be quite fun to go back and use that and let children know that
yeah.
they are authors every time they write something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
and yeah, that imposter syndrome does seem to play a lot within these conversations that I have. That yeah, and I must admit, like I suffered from that a little bit at the beginning as well. Putting out a game and then sort of feeling like, oh, do I have the right to put out a game? But,
Yeah.
yeah, but now I think to myself, no, I can do this. I did it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're an author.
Feels
Yeah,
weird.
you're an
Yeah.
author of a PhD, author of children's books, and quite honestly, I mean, I think that if anybody can produce something that brings joy to people's lives, that's amazing. That's good. And you're providing wonderful resources to teachers, for teachers, to provide some teachable experiences with children. So I just think that's amazing. Yeah. And not everybody's doing that. So just you should
Yeah.
you should feel happy that you had enough, there was so much of that intention behind it that made you think, right, I can do this. So yeah, no, I think it's amazing.
The stories don't stop coming. Like they're always coming into my head. And
Yeah.
every time something happens in my
Yep.
life, I get a text from someone or a message from someone. I can see a new story coming. It's just like
Yep.
now it's like it's an expectation that every little thing
Yeah.
that happens that's kind of fun or cute. Oh, that's a new story.
Yeah.
And quite often it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's just the time and yeah. So it's more like it's like a bit of a watch this space, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, there's a lot of stories to come, and I'm working on ways of getting them published. And I think this model with like I'm doing for the one in Canada,
Yep.
where we get it done, and then
Mm.
when they sell, I mean, we pay for the printing. The printing isn't that expensive actually.
Mm.
When we pay for the printing, then the artist, the illustrator, and I share the profits. That's
Mm.
probably going to be the best way to make it work,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
fronting up with $12,000
Mm.
is hard,
Mm.
particularly when I'm only working part-time now.
Mm.
And so,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
watch the
Yeah.
space.
Watch this space. All right. So thank you so much, Dr. Janice Belgrave, for joining me this morning and being brave enough to share your story. I've really, really enjoyed the conversation, and I think it's really awesome to have the opportunity to showcase some of the incredible work that other New Zealanders are doing within the literacy space. And the whole idea of this was to help people understand that there's a lot out there that some very talented and creative New Zealanders are producing. So thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you.
And yeah, and Mahi for joining us on Love Literacy Inspired. If this conversation lit a spark, please share it with someone who'd love it too. You can follow us on your favorite podcast app or find out more at my website, so loveliteracy.com. And until next time, keep sharing stories, asking questions, and loving literacy. And thank you so much, Dr. Janice Belgrave, for today.
Thank you.